We're live. Hey, everybody. This is your girl, Reagan Adams, with Dating is Dead, Who Killed It, and the Build a Man Workshop. So if you could just give me 1 second, I'm going to share this to my page, and we will go ahead and get started. I apologize for being late. It was absolutely my fault, but it was for great reason. So just give me a second. Okay, let me open this up and go ahead and get started. Okay. All right, everybody. So again, my name is Reagan Adams, and I'm with Dating Instead Who Killed It and the Build a Man Workshop, and this is Behind the Beard. So I'm going to give a really quick story of why I have the men on the panel tonight. For those who know me, y'all know I love all things relationships, but one of the main things that I am is a prophetic dreamer. So if you've ever watched me, you know sometimes I'll post my dreams if I'm trying to help somebody. And back around COVID time, God gave me several dreams concerning Black men. And the main one he gave me is the reason I put this panel together. So I'm going to tell the story really quick, and then I'm going to let the men introduce themselves. So one of the dreams that I had, it was where there was a man running to, like, in America, we call it soccer, but in the dream, it was known as football. And there was a Black man with dreads, and he was like carrying the team on his back. And so he's running, he's doing all the plays, he's trying to do the field goals and all the things. And he finally kicks the field goal. Everybody's cheering, everybody's excited. And he comes to celebrate, and everybody's gone. And he just collapses in the middle of the soccer field. And nobody's there around to care for him. And I saw a Black woman run to the middle of the field and scoop him up in her arms and in her lap. So she was taking care of him, just wiping his face, giving him water, and combing out dreads. He had really thick dreads. And as she was combing it out, his hair started straightening. And he just looked like he was at ease. And I said, God, what is his dream about? And he told me that there are extensions of men that are interwoven that women don't understand. And there's a lot of things that they carry that we don't understand. And we need to understand them more so we can have more of a relationship with them. And as I coach different women, we don't listen. And I'm going to put myself in it. I'm not saying this is a blanket statement for all women, but we have a hard time. I know sometimes we can't relate, but to listen and to understand and comprehend what men are going through. And so that was one of the main reasons I was having this. I also had a secondary dream, and I'm going to wrap this up. My ex-husband passed away a few years ago. And shortly after that, I had a dream about him calling me from the gas station. And he was yelling at me like, Reagan, come and get me from the gas station. And I was like, I'm not coming. You're dead. Like, I'm not coming to get you from the gas station. So I hung up the phone. But when I turned around, I was in the bed, and there were hundreds of Black men in the bedroom. Some had alcoholism problems. Some had drug habits. Some were fathers. Some were homosexuals. Like, everybody had different things going on. And they were crying. And some were in a fetal position. And I was like, but the door was closed, and they were all just like crying and no help. So I said, God, what is this? Like, tell me what this is. And he was saying that Black men need other Black men. And that's why you guys are here. I didn't mean to go the long way about it, but this has a purpose. So I don't just have you up here just to be talking about relationships. Yes, that's the core of it. I'm interested in you guys being as whole by yourself and together and helping one another, as I am with you guys having relationships. And since you guys are already married, you can speak to both sides of the street. And so side note, ladies, do not get in my inbox asking about any of these men because they are married. Okay. All right. So if you guys would just go ahead and start introducing yourselves, and we can get on with the show.
Cool. I'll start. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tomas, also known as UNC, which stands for Universal Network of Consciousness. I'm a certified life coach. I also host the UNC podcast, and what we focus on, my mission is helping people build stronger relationships through structuring their life, through accountability, and just overall living with purpose. And pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me, Reagan, and I appreciate always being a part of the panels.
It's good. I'll go ahead and go. What's going on, guys? My name is Rex Howard Jr. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist associate, personal development coach, and a podcaster of the Let's Talk Like Men podcast. I specialize in working with couples, building intimacy, male sexual dysfunctions, emotional intelligence, and just helping couples build communications skills. So I'm happy to be here.
All right.
Okay. So I'm Paul Bache Williams. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and psychotherapist in the DMV. I have a group practice, Hearts and Mind Counseling. I also have a Hearts and Mind Alignment Foundation where we work with inner city vulnerable populations, providing free psychoeducation and also some free sessions in the DMV area. I'm also the author of Dear Future Wife, A Man's Guide and Woman's Reference to Healthy Relationships. I have a found journal for men. My focus is mainly Black men and Black couples. So, and also pretty much everything Black. And that's my focus on online and with my therapy practice.
That's good.
Nice. And I'll wrap it up here. My name is Troy Spry. I am what I would refer to myself as a relationship enthusiast, and I'm the author of the book "Teach Me How to Love: Why What You Don't Know Will Hurt You." I essentially help people get out of their own way in life and then love. Right. That's really one of my passions, one of my goals. I'm a father. I'm a husband, and I'm looking forward to this conversation today.
Yay. Well, again, I say thank you guys for coming. You're going to see me look down, but this is because I got a ton of questions here. And thank you guys for sending the ton of questions. And also, if you have questions, you can drop them below and we'll get them answered as best we can. I don't want to keep the men long because I know we've all had long days. So, again, I'm grateful for you being here. So, normally I would ask this question at the end of the live, but I'm going to ask it at the very beginning. So, what would you tell your younger self about dating and marriage for everything you know now?
I'll go ahead and get it started. I was like a bullet, right? Everything was fast paced. I'm always in and out of relationships, always looking for love, seeking the attention, not knowing what to do with my influence. So one of the first things I tell myself is, bro, slow down, right? Slow down. Everything that you want, you'll get. You don't have to be in a rush. And then the second thing I would tell myself is it's okay to wait, right? I grew up in a type of culture where sexuality was pushed on you early, right? If you wasn't experiencing sex, if you wasn't dealing with women at an early age, you were seen as a lame guy, right? And nobody wanted to be seen as lame. I never wanted to be seen as lame guy. So I stepped my foot into those waters way before I knew what I was doing. And there's a lot of people that I've heard, there's a lot of moments where I've been hurt because of the lack of education, the lack of knowledge, and just wisdom about how to navigate relationships and women just in general. So telling myself to slow down and telling myself that it's okay to wait.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off that. I would definitely say take my time. One of the things that I learned late in life, the lesson I learned over and over again, is about the nice guy syndrome, right? And that was essentially trying to rescue and seeing value in rescuing, and also not speaking up because of just being overly empathetic, right? And sometimes when you're that cognitive empathy, it's when you're looking at somebody's wounds and you're trying to love their wounds as opposed to paying attention to the impact the wounds is having on you, right? And so if I see somebody and they had issues with their parents, I'm like, well, that's why they're doing that. And I'm forgiving, right? Overstanding, right? Instead of really saying, this doesn't work for me. I forgave. But when I hit that wall, then it's a wrap. Then I'm the bad guy. So being able to prevent that from happening and shutting off things that are not okay early, and also communicating how things are impacting me early.
That's good.
That's good. I'll jump in here. I mean, I think one of the things I would say is, don't just focus on what it is that you can gain. right? When you get into these relationships, into these marriages, but think about what it is that you're willing to give. Because at the end of the day, giving is what you end up doing a lot of. So do you have the capacity to do that? So that means being honest with yourself. And I think the second thing is that you can't change anyone, right? No matter what you do, all you can do is change yourself and focus on you and your energy and what you're willing to change about yourself and hope to influence someone else. But you can't change anyone. And so I would tell myself that.
Yeah, and I everything that that the men said before me, I completely agree with. The one thing that I would add is, a lot of people try and find, especially from a male's perspective, right? We go out and he who find a good wife, right? We go out trying to find the right person. And I think men need to become the right person. Like you have to become the man that you are looking to be, to understand, to be able to have someone that's going to go along with that. And I think sometimes when you're young, you just think whatever it is about you that can attract is what it takes in order to maintain. And that is not at all what's going to sustain a long-term marriage or relationship.
That's good. Okay. This is a little personal, but not too personal. If you don't want to answer, that's fine. What is one thing you knew about yourself that you needed to work on before you got married or in a relationship?
Whew, I'm willing to jump in there real fast because I can remember it like it was yesterday. It's my level of defensiveness. That was a piece. If I came from nowhere, I know where it comes from. But what I'm telling you is, I was so defensive that anything that was seen as like criticism, I would take as like what's the word I'm looking for? Like an attack on me. And when you behave that way, you can't grow, right? Because if no one's going to agree with everything that you do, and you got to have some level of growth, and that's determined by your willingness to accept that you have flaws. And so I would be hyper defensive, and I worked on that very intently over the years.
So how do you work on that, Troy? What is it? Because I find myself in that situation sometimes too.
Oh yeah.
Like,
So
how do you?
so the one key for me was self awareness, right? Just understanding that I was doing it. Think about a defensive person; they don't even realize it half the time. It's just instinctual, right? And so I had to learn. I had to be self aware, and it took my wife actually telling me, and it took me getting in trouble at work a couple times to really realize that I wasn't really good at accepting criticism and feedback. And so once I became self aware, the impulse is still there, right? I still have the impulse. My reaction is just different,
Mhm.
right? So that's the difference. That's all I could do.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Anybody else?
For me, I would say the point of being completely transparent. I think a lot of times early on, I will tell you, men understand. I'll say this out there: men know that the key to getting through to women when you can get them is to lie. Women like to be lied to; they just don't like to know once it is a lie. But if they feel like it's always something that isn't a lie, they'll always be turned on. And so the reality is stop lying, be completely transparent with everything that's going on. You realize people actually accept a lot of the things that's going on in your life. And that's just really being self-aware and being accountable for where you're at. I would say if there was anything, is that
Okay,
for me.
That's good. There's a couple of things that come to mind for me. It takes me back to 2022, right? August, a relationship of mine just ended, and I got tired of myself, right? And that was the first time in my life where I said, God, I want to be a husband, right? At all the dating I've ever done, that was the first time I said, God, I want to be a husband. Show me the things I need to do. Show me the areas in my life where I need to strengthen, and show me the people I need to be around in order to get to that point. And a couple of things came up, right? And as I journaled, the first one was shut up and listen, right? With being the type of man that I'm always in the books, I'm always listening to the podcast, I'm always listening to sermons, I always have a lot to say, right? And sometimes when you always have a lot to say, it leaves no room for your partner to feel important or to feel special or to even feel prioritized. So I knew, one, I needed to shut up and listen to create space for other people, especially for my future wife. Number two was zipper control, right? Coming from a promiscuous background, I told myself yes to a lot, right? And in order to be a husband, I knew I was going to have some type of control, because if I continue to give myself to everybody else, I knew I wouldn't have much to give to my wife. So I had to be able to have a season of sitting down, a season of fasting, a season of no masturbation, no porn, like continuing to have discipline in my self-control and being able to tell myself no. Because one thing I never realized was, if I can't tell myself no, it'd be hard for me to tell somebody else no. And then the third thing I would say is learning how to express myself. I'm the fastest at shutting down. If I don't have anything nice I want to say, I won't say anything at all. I'll go take a long walk, and then even when I get back from the walk, I won't say anything about what's going on and how I'm really feeling. So getting to the point where I knew how to regulate myself and also express myself in a way that didn't disrespect my partner. And it kind of taking accountability for how I felt and why I felt the way that I felt, and then learning how to regulate myself. So those would be my big three that allow for me to get to where I am now.
Okay.
I think it goes back to, again, the idea that I had to rescue everybody, right? Knowing that I needed to take care of myself. Like, am I okay before I go into a relationship? Because if I'm still nursing the wound of needing to be seen by giving, then I'm not going to be healthy in a marriage. I'm not going to be healthy in a relationship. So being able to sit down and really, I think I took a year to just pour into myself, right? No distractions, no access to anybody. I cut off certain things at 8 o'clock. You didn't have access to me. It didn't matter who it was, right? And it was just shutting a whole bunch of stuff down. And that created discipline in me to be able to court and then go into this relationship and go into a marriage and still continue the behaviors, right? Whether it's outside influence, or whether we're having a conversation where I'm able to express openly, directly, clearly, without the defensiveness, right? Without the you ain't talking to me like that, all that old childish stuff. That being able to really communicate effectively was important.
That's good. Okay. So when I talk to a lot of women, and I'm going to say a lot of women, and I'm going to put myself in it because I don't speak from a seat of knowing everything. I'm learning as well. So accountability is really hard for us. How important do you think, and I know men need to take it too, but how important is it for women that are seeking relationships and also already in them or married? How important is it for us to be able to have accountability, learn how to try to self-correct, and also receive feedback in a relationship?
I'll start there. It's very important to be able to do that, right? Because that disarms us, right? If we can see you taking accountability, then no, we can have a healthy relationship, right? So you can see how the things that you're doing are impacting or causing dysfunction in the marriage or in the relationship. Then I know it's just not me always working, right? A person that's able to be vulnerable and share, you know what, I messed up. That feels so good to a man. Like, literally, like, dang, she apologizing? You're different. You are different, and it's authentic and genuine, and the behavior changes because it's not just the apology. It's not just the, looking yourself in the mirror and saying this. It's also saying, I'm working on this, and it's still a struggle, right? Even if you're saying it's still a struggle with me, but this is something that I see in my behavior that's impacting us in a negative way. I'm working on this, and I apologize.
So quick question. So let's just say you have somebody, well, you got somebody, but they're working on, I apologize and I'm going to do better. And they're actively working on it. How do you know when it's time to like keep holding on, or it's just like, look, you don't got it. Like, you're just not figuring it out. Is there a time to let it go? And it's just like, when is the time to let it go? Or you just hang in there because they're working?
Well, I think that's all personal. And it really depends on how egregious the change needs to be, right? Egregious the behavior is. If they're working, it doesn't mean like you have to stand beside them every time they're working on something, right? Sometimes you have to say, okay, this is a personal journey for you to figure out. And if we meet at a different time and you're in a better place, then maybe then, right? But if you're already in a marriage and they're identifying this is something I struggle with, right? If we look at the different statistics, it's like 69% of things within a marriage will be disagreements, right? And then 13% of those, I believe, it's like these gridlock things. Well, these things are simply not going to change, but will I stay with you although these things are different than my behavior, than my choices, right? And you guys got to figure out how to navigate that, because repair is the most important thing of that, right? So I guess getting back to your question, it's really personal. Like, is it too much? Is it to the point where it's like this behavior is causing me harm?
I got another question to tag on that, but I'm gonna let you guys.
Can I add just real quick to that? I mean, I would say, so accountability, I think, is one of the key things. But I would say, I mean, I guess if you're learning because you're in a relationship, you're gonna have to go through and do your work. But I would say, ideally, you've got to take accountability before you get in a relationship. That's understanding the failed relationships you've had before, understanding the mistakes that you truly made, being okay with talking about those mistakes, because the man that you are encountering wants to know. He wants to know the decisions that you made in your life. He wants to understand if you are going to take accountability. Have you made changes in your life? What is the work that you've done? If a man takes, if it is in a relationship with a woman that hasn't shown that in the past, it's going to be really hard to say, I'm going to get this done while we're in a relationship. So I think that's a key thing, that if you're in one and there's, I think there's a process for that, but I would really say it's ideal to really understand why your relationships haven't worked in the past. And it's not just him. Like, it's not. You have to realize in every single failed relationship, you played a huge part. You just need to understand where the pattern is, because there is one. It's sometimes just hard for us to accept that, though.
That's good. We'll pick up on that when it comes to accountability. And I'm gonna let you know I'm a storyteller, so I'll always have a story. So last year, my wife took a nursing contract in Seattle, right? 13 weeks. And while she was going, I maintained the things I was already doing. So I was writing letters, I was sending flowers, I was anticipating needs, anything that she needed or even mentioned that she needed without even asking me. I'm on Amazon, I'm making sure it's happening. I'm going to go see her. But I was starting to feel some resentment being built because I didn't feel that same energy coming back from her. And so typically my default setting is to shut down or to lie about the "are you okay" question. So she asked me, she was like, "Hey, I noticed your energy has shifted. You good?" And everything in me wanted to say, "Yeah, I'm straight." But I had that nudge like, "No, I'm actually not." And I knew exactly what I wanted to say, but because I was so uncomfortable with talking about tough things because of my past, either it was weaponized and turned into a major conflict, or it was just shut down, or we would create too much space. So it took me about 5 minutes to actually say what I wanted to say. But I said, "Listen, I'm starting to feel some resentment built towards you." I said, it feels as if you determined that the relationship is good based off me showing up, but not based off us meeting each other where we are. And I was like, I asked for one thing during this 13-week period, and I never got that from you. And I don't even ask you many questions at all. So in the midst of me saying everything I shared, she said to me, wow, I didn't know that's how you felt, but I appreciate you for sharing that. And now I know how I need to show up for you moving forward. That for me was accountability. That for me, like Brother Bichet said, it disarmed me. I was bracing myself, getting ready for tension. I was getting ready for war. But when she said, "Thank you for telling me," I was like, "Oh, so she felt me for real." And then to kind of go into your second thing is, after an apology is there, I want to see fruit. Right now, not to say that it needs to be immediate change, but I want to see effort. So if you say that, okay, I want to be more intentional with making you feel desired or making you feel reassured, and there's opportunities for that without me having to bring it up, that lets me know that you really truly meant your apology. But if you're continuing to apologize for things I'm having to break up or bring up, then I'm trying to figure out, all right, what do we need to do now? Is it time for a counselor? Is it time to go to one of our mentors? Is it time to continue adding God into this? Because obviously what we're doing isn't working. So that right there is how I'll answer the first and the second question you mentioned.
Okay.
That's good. And I won't belabor it too much, but I will say this. I will tell the ladies out there that accountability is a form of strength, right? And I think too many times it needs to be reframed as weakness, right? Because I think a lot of times, a lot of ladies feel like if they are accountable, then there's something wrong with them, and they have to admit all these things, and they start feeling shame, right? They start feeling shame, and I'm like, no, but you're actually more powerful when you are accountable.
Yeah.
And you actually build trust with the man by doing that. And so when you take all your time, actually, the question I would ask is, why don't you feel like you can take accountability? Right? That's the actual question that needs to be answered by the woman. Until she's willing to explore that, then she's going to be lost forever.
Well, I can actually answer that.
Please do.
Because I had a situation. I'm actually really good about taking accountability a lot of the time, but I had a situation last night, and it was a miscommunication on both of our parts. We were both defensive. And after I sat with it, because I'm learning how to take my foot off of the starting line, because I'm very reactive a lot of times, and I'm a problem solver. So when somebody gives me something, I'm like, okay, how can we fix it? And I'm very quick to try to fix it, but everybody doesn't do that. Some people are processors. And so I'm like, okay, let me step back and see where I went wrong. And even though I felt like I was right about certain things, I still want to keep the friendship. So I said, you know what? I apologize. I should have not done blah, blah, blah. I could have done this better, but all the things. But I'm going to be honest. It was kind of hard last night because I felt like I'm losing. Like I don't want to, but I knew it was right because I want to keep the friendship. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to be right. I just want to keep the lines of communication open. And we were both wrong, but I just had to say it first, and that was just like, okay. But yeah, it doesn't feel good sometimes. I'm gonna be honest, it just doesn't.
Yeah, I work with a lot of women as well, like individually, wives. For some reason come to me to be better wives to their husbands, which I love it. And sometimes when we're in couple sessions, the husband will say, "Well, I can't get her to talk to you and to tell the truth or be vulnerable or to take accountability like the way you get her to." And I said, because I'm not a threat, right? You're coming to therapy to fix some things, and I'm safer because if she says, if I apologize, if I take accountability this time, then I have to do it the next time, then I have to do it the time after that, and I have to keep doing it. And who am I that's always apologizing, right? Yeah. Why do I always have to be? They take on it as identity, right? Apology and taking accountability is going against their identity, literally is what they say. So that's knowing that, right. So knowing that is not, it's really the identity should be in the strength and the connection of the relationship, right? So you can be the strong independent, you can be the winner of all time, but you're going to be by yourself at all times, right? As long as you have that identity and you have that belief system. So it really doesn't allow the man to come in to be the man that you want him to be.
Yeah, that's good. That is good.
Yeah. Before you go to the next thing, you said something that was very powerful. When I have to take accountability, I feel like I'm losing. That mindset, just in general, is what keeps a lot of us stuck, because this is a challenge for us, right? This is a win or loss, right? I remember writing in this poem, my parents always wanted to be, it was a battle between who was right and who was wrong. It was never what was the problem and how can we fix it, right? So when we are coming from the standpoint of I know the most, I'm the most correct, you should listen to me, you should accept my influence, but not trying to understand the emotion behind things, and even not even trying to de-escalate to the point where we can even have a reasonable conversation. Because typically what they say is, once we step into our flight or flight mode, we no longer have the ability to comprehend what's actually being said. So now it's a battle going back and forth. So if we can let go of, on both sides of the thought process of either I won this conversation or I lost this conversation, and get to how can we meet in the middle and become one and find a solution, then we can really start making some real progress.
I'm working on it, Brother Rex. I'm working.
Hey, can I say something that's going to get me in a little bit of trouble? And I'm just going to say this. Sometimes y'all need to get over yourselves. Let's just be honest. In your egos, like the ego piece, like we're asked to die to our egos to be able to serve you all better, right? Yeah. And sometimes you got to do the same thing, right? Just get over yourself, and that little girl in you has to become a grown woman at some point. And we don't have time to be battling all the time about little things that make you sad or defensive or whatever it is. So that's just the raw way of telling you, like, get over yourself sometimes.
Y'all heard Pastor Troy. Okay. We always hear be his peace. But some of the things that I have been seeing where there's no peace in the house, it is actually causing men to shut down and pull everything internally, and it is making them physically sick. Mm-hmm. Can anybody speak to that? Because I've seen it, but I just want y'all to talk about it because that's what I've seen. Is that correct? Yes, no, maybe so.
Absolutely.
What did you say? Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I can start. Again, working with husbands, working with men, and not having a space to share what's going on, right? Not having the respect to share, hey, what you're doing is bothering me, right? This idea that we're supposed to take care of everything, we're supposed to be the breadwinner, we're supposed to be the one that protects the family while we're being harmed inside the relationship, right? And we're supposed to just take it, man up, don't cry, all the things that we've been taught. That has to go somewhere. Literally carrying trauma in our tissue, just walking around in pain. That's why we got this back pains. That's why we look to substances. That's why we look for other outlets, because we can't get the reprieve in the marriage, in the relationship. So now we're physically feeling this. And some men, unfortunately, feel like the only way to get out is death. And it goes to that extreme, because if I leave, then I'm a failure, right? And so there's another loss that a man is taking, but it's always looking for a reprieve, and it's not always the healthiest things. And sometimes that's even minimized, right? Again, the wife might say, man up. The wife might not really understand that her behavior is causing the pain, and she's blaming it on something else. And there's the other part of us that we need to also speak up and say, this is not okay, in our own ways. Of course, I'm saying it all nice now, but we got to be able to shut some stuff down, because, again, it's very detrimental to our health.
Man, that's good.
I was looking at some numbers maybe a month or so ago, Paul, and it was saying that more men tend to stay in bad relationships and just suffer.
Mm-hmm.
Why suffer? Like, I mean, I know you said that they don't feel the need to speak up, but like, what keeps them there? You know, because most women, they leave if it's an issue, like, I'm out. But men are just like, oh, might as well just.
It's part of the whole man up and suffer culture, just it globally. It's at work. It's in all types of different areas, and this makes you a man to deal with these problems and to not speak up about them, not talk about them. And again, the idea, if I'm supposed to choose this person, I'm supposed to marry this person, I'm supposed to stay in this relationship, I'm supposed to fix it. We're natural fixers, and if I can't fix it, then I just have to deal with it. And it's not just in relationships, it's across the board when we don't use our voice and we don't walk away enough from things until they're egregious. I mean, my therapist told me that, I think in 2018, he said, why do I wait for something egregious to happen to walk away from a relationship?
That's good. That's good. I want to answer the very first question you mentioned, kind of go add to what this brother said too. The whole peace thing, when we don't find that peace, right? Peace becomes the bottle, right? Peace becomes the game that we play. Peace becomes sitting in the car outside the house, in the parking lot, not doing anything, probably listening to some music or talking to one of my guys. Peace becomes social media, or like worst came to the worst, peace becomes somebody else on the side that is willing to listen, that is willing to be nice, that is willing to be kind, that is willing to make him feel desired, just wanted, just in general. So now, peace doesn't always just mean avoiding hard conversations, because ultimately we have to have hard conversations. We have to be able to navigate it. But peace also means needing my space, right? I tell my lady all the time, if I'm not feeling the best, if I'm having an issue with her, one thing I notice about her is she leans in when I lean out. And I said, so I call them bricks and bridges. My bridge is, I'm willing for you to be in close proximity to me, but I just don't want to talk until I'm ready, right? Versus leaving the room completely and separating. Now she feels distant. Now she's peeking through the door. Like, nah, babe, come on, you come sit down. Listen, you can even sit on my lap, but I just rather not talk right now until I get my mind right. So sometimes that's what peace looks like, until just giving me my space until I'm ready to talk. And then when we are ready to talk, let's have a grown-up conversation.
That's good.
I would love to address a little bit around the leaving piece, right? Why men don't leave. So imagine a man, you know, I'm in that middle age where you start seeing a lot of people around you starting to get divorced, marriages starting to fall apart a little bit. You start to see it, and then you hear the stories. But imagine a man coming to you and saying, "And I left my wife just because I didn't feel happy anymore."
Well, that don't make sense.
You see, but imagine a lady coming to you and saying, "I just wasn't happy anymore." What would you do? You wouldn't respond that way, would you?
Well, marriage is not, you're not happy all the time. I mean, you're not happy in life by yourself all the time.
You got to answer the question.
Well, you got to answer the question. Would you look at it the same?
Yeah, no.
If a lady says it versus a man said, you look at the society, just that simple thing right there will tell you a lot of times why men don't leave. It's the stigma on it. I can't walk out and be like, walk away from my family and say, I just didn't feel happy anymore. Right? That's not going to be acceptable. And then number two is duty, right? Men are raised around duty, right? And so even if I'm not happy, I still have a duty to this family. right? Now, what men will do is find someone else, like my brother said, that might make them feel happy over here. But even then, they're demonized for that because there's no excuse for that in other people's minds, right? So there's this stigma around it that make men kind of just stick in there and just hang in there, even if they're. I've seen some miserable men, y'all, who won't leave, right? Now I got to lose half potentially, right? Now I got this the narrative around me as a bad person because I left my wife or I left my husband or I left my family. Now I got no one ever checks on you when you leave a family. You become isolated. You're on an island by yourself all of a sudden. So think about all that comes with that, Reagan. So that's
I
what
didn't
you
have
know.
no problem. Like I was out. Like I
You're
don't.
different, and you were everybody rallied around you.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, are you okay? You I don't know if your girlfriends or your friends, everybody supported you.
Um. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
like that for men. A
But
lot of
even
men.
if I didn't, I think I'm just one of those people that once my mind is made up, like it doesn't matter who's there, like I'm gone because I know what I endured for so long. You know what I'm saying? And so, but yeah, I do understand exactly what both you guys are saying. It is a stigma to it. So I got it. Oh, I wasn't ready for my next question. Sorry. Let's see here. Y'all have already kind of answered some of the ones I had, which I knew that was probably going to happen. Oh, this is a good one. So, what role does brotherhood play in the community with Black men? Like, how important is it for Ready Rex? How important is it for you to have a community of other men in fellowship?
If y'all mind, I would like to take this one first. So I made this thing called, well, God put it in my heart, August 2024, the Morning Mastery Meetup. This is a safe space for men. We meet virtually every morning from 6:55 a.m. to 7:55 a.m. Like we're literally on month 19 of meeting every single morning. So we have right now 12 guys in the group. And when I tell you the amount of growth that comes from brothers sharing their secrets, holding each other accountable, talking about the issues that they may struggle with, like as far as lust, as far as masturbation, as far as financial issues, as far as like leadership and failing in certain areas, but going to a space where, you know, I'm not going to be criticized, right? I'm going to be held accountable. Then these brothers going to be able to pray for me. These brothers going to be able to check in on me. These brothers become like uncles. And then like even when we do our meetups in the summertime, you know, we get to meet the wives, and I'm inviting these brothers to my wedding. It's so important because it gives us a space to feel seen, to feel heard, to feel validated, right? And plus, we need love, right? We need the love. We need to hear "I love you." Now, first, if you're not used to hearing it, it's gonna feel weird. You may somebody say "I love you," and you say, "Yeah, you too, bro." And then you get to that point where you say love, or then you may end up saying, you know, "I love you too." But to know that you have another brother that cares about you, they don't want nothing from you, they just want the best for you, is absolutely phenomenal. And this space that I've created for men has let me know that there's a question, not there's a statement that goes around and says women are more emotional than men. And I'm willing to challenge that because being in this group, these men have many emotions, but they just always needed a safe space to express themselves. Like we literally talk and have hard conversations every single day. But when we're able to do it with each other, then it's easier for them to gather their thoughts and take it to their wives. Or sometimes they can't take certain things to their wives, so they share it with us. And now we can pour into each other to make sure we can uplift each other. Maybe you need some extra money for some groceries, or maybe you need spotting on the bill, or one of the guys just had a baby shower and we showed him love at the baby shower to make sure him and his wife had everything that they needed. So I think accountability and just the brotherhood in general with Black men is going to be huge.
Yeah. Anybody else?
It's not really much to add to it. I think it's extremely important. Iron sharpens iron. You know, men, the love we show to each other, you know, is different than how ladies show to each other. It's different than how men show to women. We will goof with one another. We will do the dumbest things. We act extremely immature. We will talk about each other, but that's how you know that they're tight. That's how you know. There's just certain things that men do. But we are real with one another. When you have good brothers in your corner, they're gonna be real with you about what's going on, where you're making mistakes, where you're doing well, hey, hey, I see this going on. I don't really see jealousy or envy. I see people wanting to learn from others. So I just think it's extremely important. We only know as much as what we know. The best thing you can do is to have, other people there, assisting you in other areas of your life where you can actually get better. I mean, I think it's extremely important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just add to that really quick, and especially what Rex said. You talked about emotions, and I've challenged that for a while now. You talk about especially emotional intelligence, right? We say that men don't have it. You know how many thoughts that men suppress their emotions or process their emotions before they make a decision, right? That's emotional intelligence, right? I think what happens is women are more, and they're given permission to be more emotionally forward. While there's a meta emotion mismatch where men are emotional withdrawn and women are emotionally forward, and we don't share the emotion because the emotion doesn't fix the problem, right? And it also emotion sometimes makes us uncomfortable. It's like, why are you doing all that when all you got to do is this?
Yeah.
So logic tells us we can just fix this, we can just do this, we can save the emotions for later. And especially husbands, like they're processing so many different things without speaking about it. And a woman thinks that he's just going about his life doing whatever, right? So now he wakes up, how can I provide for my kids? How can I make sure my lady's okay? How can I protect her before she makes this decision? If we're going out while the woman is being free to kind of look around and explore, the man is watching every space to make sure everything is safe, right? There's a lot of different things that men are processing emotionally or thoughtfully. Again, we just have to be better on sharing what we're dealing with.
Okay, that's good. Okay, I got a few more questions because we're almost out of here. Okay, so how does the way a woman was raised in her immediate family, including her children, affect how men view her in a relationship? So do you look at that? How she was raised, her background, like does she have
1,000%. All of it. All of it. I mean, it makes up. I mean, the if you're looking for a wife, the how she's going to be taught to be a wife is through her mother. If it was her mother a wife, how she was raised. You don't really talk with a book. You learn from the environment you are in. So that's going to be the ways that you look for. What are her immediate um, what's her immediate qualities when it comes to that? What is that background? What was that like? Were there men involved in the family? Was there men in leadership roles where they understand? Because a lot of women say they want a man that leads, but then when they have one, they fight it. So are there men in the family where they understand that they go to? If they don't, there's something that you got to take a look at. Doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Doesn't mean that they can't, but those are definitely factors. She's got kids. Yeah, of course it matters if you're going to be a blended family. It matters on what that situation looks like. Where how the father is. Or what their entire scenario is like. Because if you're trying to blend that together, you have to come up with a plan that works for that. So yeah, I think men take a look at all of it to decide whether or not it fits.
So I think we got to get out of this mentality that you marry the person and not the family, because you do marry the family, right? You marry right on into them, and if they're dysfunctional, it's going to impact parts of your life. I mean, you got feelings, you have practical things in life, like Thanksgiving and Christmas, and birthdays and all these things. And if there's a highly dysfunctional family and you don't want to be a part of that, you're not used to that, then you don't sign up for that. That's what I would say, because it's going to cause you more headache. Then imagine when you have kids. Now you got to worry about all the things with the family and how the kid is raised and who they're around, all those kind of things. That's an important thing, right? So to not take that into consideration is, to me, setting yourself up for failure.
Absolutely. I can definitely agree with that. My last two relationships, they were raised by single mothers, right? So I realized that I became a father figure, right? I became the boyfriend. I became everything that they didn't get, right? And one thing that if a young woman isn't trained, isn't taught certain things by her father, a lot of those roles fall on a boyfriend, right? And that can be a lot of weight and a lot of pressure. So going into my new relationship with my wife now, she's Nigerian. So, and we went and got married in her village, and I watched the village. I watched where she comes from and how the women serve and how the men lead. I watched the kind of respect. And even when I go to her mother's house, I remember early on in our relationship, I was sitting in I was sitting in the living room and there was dishes in the sink, and her mother looked at her and said, "Is this what you're gonna do at your husband's house? You're just gonna leave stuff in the sink? Right? Are you not going to ask him if he needs water?" So it's service. It's complete service, and the men provide structure. The men are praying. The men are bringing home the bacon. Right. The men are not only doing that, but the other men in her family are meeting with each other. So when it was time for me to ask for her hand in marriage, it was like, "Oh no, you can't just come up in here like that. I need you to bring your father with you." And we're gonna bring Uncle Chris and Uncle this, and we had to sit down and there was like, when it comes to taking somebody from our village, we want to make sure that you have this mindset that you hate divorce. He was like, because one thing that we know about Americans is y'all will divorce easy, and if you're not happy, if something's not going right, you'll get out of there. But if you're wanting to take our daughter or our niece, we want to know that, one, you are a man of God and that you fear God. Two, that you are viewing her in a different kind of way. And three, that you know how to take care of yourself. Because if you can take care of yourself when you handle your business, we know that you'll be able to take care of her because we've trained her up to be prepared for this stage of her life. And I've never experienced that with any other woman that I've dated. And there's been a lot of fruit because of the structure that she had, that she was raised in.
All right. Well, that sounded so good. That was nice. That was good. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. I think I'm going to do one more question, maybe two. What are some qualities that make a woman stand out, being worth pursuing? Besides taking accountability, what are some other things that make women attractive outside of being attractive in sex and cooking and, the regular stuff?
That she's nice, that she smiles.
Well, you are nice. What you mean?
Nah. Women, a lot of that, women aren't nice. They don't even smile. They don't want you to talk to them anymore. It's just friendly. Men want a woman to be, and I'm not even talking about approaching to talk to her or get at her, but just randomly, you can see people used to say hi to women, just walking by. Hey, have a nice day. You don't see that happen at all anymore. Women don't really want to be bothered. It's just to be nice. I mean, one thing I tell any man, I tell him, don't use your eyes and fall in love with somebody. Find the woman that likes you for who you are, and she's got quality. Those are the people that you pay attention to. You see her. But you're not going to find that if she's not nice. Women that like you, they're nice to you. They don't have to like you to be with you intimately, but they like men. They like to be, out. They want to be approached. They want to have, contact with other people. They're typically just nice in general. So I would honestly say there's a lot that just aren't. And I think women think that they are, but they're not.
There's one thing that comes to my mind, kind of to piggyback off of this one, is being easy to get along with, right? When I say easy to get along with, I mean, could I see you being around the people I care about the most, and you won't be the one causing the chaos all the time, right? to me, that's like being easy to along with. And the second thing I will add to that is a little bit of mystery, right? I just don't feel like a lot of ladies have mystery anymore. You kind of see everything. It's all out there for you all the time. But one of the things that really attracted me to my wife was she had like this aura and this mystery about her that I wanted to learn more, right? It created kind of that dynamic. And so, you got to have a little bit of mystery about yourself, and you just don't let everybody see everything all the time in the eyes of transparency. I have a little mystery. Mm-hmm. Those are the things for me.
That's good.
I'll go ahead and add to that as well. I would say limit your access, right? I can't speak for other brothers on this call, but anytime I talk to a woman and I had full access to her immediately, right? Whether that means I could take you home, whether that means you were just a complete open book and there was no boundaries that you have for yourself, then I would not be inclined to pursue you as a wife, right? Mm-hmm. And you will go in the box of one time or never talk again. So a woman that has boundaries, that's not willing to be up on the phone all night, that's not willing to allow for you just to come over when you just meet this person, or not willing just to have sex just because she just may be horny and y'all just now met, right? Because ultimately, majority of men, they'll take the opportunity, but what you may get after that is a text that say they made at home and you may not hear from them ever again. So access, being limited is one thing, and then a woman that has boundaries and knows what she wants, right? Especially at our age. My wife said to me, I met her on a dating app, Hinge. She said, Rex, I'm gonna let you know now, I'm looking for my husband. So if you don't want to be a husband, then this ain't what you want. And then I said, okay, cool. And then, on our first phone conversation, I said, what are you looking for in a man? She said, I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to watch your behaviors and see if you have those quality traits that I'm looking for naturally. Because I know for myself, the minute you tell me how to be the person or you tell me what you're looking for, I'm a chameleon. I can become that easy. But when you have to just show up and be just you because she knows what she's looking for, that's a different ballgame. Now you can't fake the funk anymore.
Yeah. That's good. Is that it? Okay. One more and I'm out the door. I wasn't trying to rhyme for real. Okay. So in today's dating climate, what do you think? What are the challenges men face that women may not always see that they need to understand? And this can be in dating or you just being in a relationship as a Black man. What do we need to understand about you guys? Or what are some of the misconceptions about you?
A lot of the young guys and the guys my age that I hear is, I feel like I have to be all the way there before I start dating. I have to have the check. I have to have the crib. I have to have the car before I start dating. And then there's a lot of pressure from women to make men feel that way as well. So just understanding that you aren't coming into a relationship with a complete product, right? We're created to help each other grow together. And if you can understand that we're created to help each other grow, then you may be my missing piece to getting the check that I really want to get. You may be my missing piece that favor that God releases whenever I find my wife to help us get to where we want to go. But if that expectation is there for me to already be there, for me to be the all the way put together, no flaws, no character, no nothing, that could be a very hard thing to step into. So that's one thing I'll definitely say.
Okay, that's good.
I think good.
No, mine was really short, but it's this immense pressure to perform, right? There's this huge pressure to perform as a man in the dating scene, or just as a husband as well. And so, helping people understand that men are whole people, and they are people beyond just what they provide and produce. I think that's one thing that has to be understood a little bit more, so then men can actually be seen and not just experienced, right? So that's what I would say.
That's good. That's good.
I was on the same pathway right there. Performance pressure, right? The idea that I always got to show up and do everything, provide everything. And I see even with social media, like everybody has these expectations that you're supposed to be wine and dine at the fanciest. You better go ahead and get that Outback. You better go ahead and get that. So the idea of we have to do these elaborate expressions of interest is disingenuous, and also removes an opportunity for a man who is creative to show up for you. He might provide something that doesn't look like $1,000 or isn't $1,000, but it makes you feel like $1,000, right? There's a difference. And I'll share a short story. Years ago when I was dating a woman who was making a lot of money, and I was just starting my career, but I knew where I was going. So I wasn't insecure about how much she was making. So I was willing to approach her. And I think we went to Ruth Chris, and I wasn't really impressed because I had been in places before, right? But she thought she was really doing something to me, and she kind of had her chest out, right? And it was just talking about that, and even said it to my mother. My mother was like, Bashe's been to different countries, like Bashe's doing this. Like, I didn't have to lead with that to say that I can take care of these things, right? And so the next time we had a date, I hired a chef, and we recreated her favorite meal from Ruth Chris. It didn't cost as much, but it was an experience. But she didn't see it because she asked me, well, how much did you pay for that? I was like, I got a hookup. I know a friend who's a chef, and I paid like $200, right? And she was like, oh, and I paid $500 for Ruth Chris. Okay.
Why are you spending $500 at Ruth Chris though? They are mid.
Right. Well, Ruth Chris, yeah. But I mean, but it's just the mentality, right? That's what she thought. Supposed to have this elaborate, and she wasn't even ready to appreciate it. She couldn't appreciate it because it didn't have that dollar or that price tag attached to it. So too. Like you look online and people being flued out and doing all these crazy things, right? Which are fun, but let's be realistic. These are highlights.
Yeah, that's true.
That's that.
Um, Reagan, before you close out, if you don't mind, I would love to ask these brothers a question. And the reason being is because I feel like the purpose is for women to understand what it means for us to be heard. So, fellas, the question I have for y'all is, what is something that your wife does that makes you feel the most heard?
So, I mean, my wife and I mean, we talk, guaranteed we're going to talk twice a day. We talk in the morning time, to start it, just about what's going on for the day. So, and then at night, we kind of talk about everything that actually took place. We don't talk. I mean, we talk about some superficial things and things that don't matter, but for the most part, we're talking about where we're going with our life. So our conversations are about the plans that we have. I've got my youngest is a freshman in college. So we're almost, we basically, empty nesters, at this point. So we're talking about the things that we're doing for the next phases of our life. Um, and she listens. So based off the things that we talk about and we say, this is what we're going to do and what I'm going to do, this is my part. I mean, she does it, but we talk about it. I do it. She does it. So I just think that we're in a rhythm of communication. And I think that's one of the most important things that you can have with the person that you're with. It doesn't matter as long as you're talking about what you're building, where you're going. Are you still on track? Do we fall off? Where are we missing? If we do, I mean, you can avoid, the major bumps in the road. So for me, that's what my wife and I do. We have a constant connection of just communication.
That's good.
Okay. I'm willing to jump in there. I would say change behavior makes me feel heard. So if there's things that we communicate about and I see that she actually changes that behavior, she cares enough to change what it is that I asked her to do, that makes me feel like you're listening, like you hear me, right? And so that would say that change behavior is big for me.
That's good. Brother Shay, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's honoring that you're talking about that quiet time that I need because I'm seeing people all day and I'm dealing with challenges all day and sometimes talking in some of those sessions. So when I come out, I just need quiet, right? And I'm not ignoring you. I'm not dissing you. I'm not doing anything, but I need that space to kind of recuperate, right? And regenerate and just refresh myself and just take a deep breath. So allowing, it took a while, but finally when it got there, it was like, okay, this is what it feels like. You really understand that I'm not rejecting you. I just need some moments when I'm done with sessions.
Okay. That's good.
And
I have one more question, just real quick. I'm not sorry because we need to hear
You're
this.
good.
I wrote, I'm in the process of rewriting my book, The Builder Man. We'll talk about that another time. One of the chapters in it is called the Delilah Effect. And where I was talking about more women that have relationships or want to be in relationships need to give men a soft space. And that is what Delilah did. Even though it was wrong, she still created a space to make Samson feel comfortable enough to give up like one of the biggest secrets that God gave him. That's a big deal. And so, how important is a soft space for you in your relationship?
it's very important. It makes me excited to come home. Right. So I'll work 8 to 10 minutes from the house. Um, and every break I get, if my wife is at the house, I'm on the way home. Right. I want to be there. Even if we're just laying on the couch watching a movie, if I walk in the house and she's reading her Bible at the dining room table, I'm wanting to know what she's reading. It makes me radically curious about her world and wants me to, I want to always be around my wife. I'm okay with missing out on parties. I'm okay with missing out on brunches. I'd rather be with my wife. That's what a soft space for me feels like.
Y'all hear that, ladies? They want to come home.
Yeah, because here's the thing, the one thing that I would say, especially your wife and your family do for you as a man is it will motivate you and inspire you. And so what your wife does is when you go out there and you spend all that energy to go through the day, she will generate and give you energy back and re-inspire you to go back out and do it again. That's what that soft space does. You're able to come back, whatever, and it's different for every man. what that soft space is, right? So my wife every night is going to basically put her heels on I lay down in the bed, she's gonna put her heels on my calves and rub her heel on my calves to get out the knots. I work out and exercise, and she's gonna do that until I pass out. That is an extremely soft space for me, and I need it every single time. I thank her for it every single night or in the morning when I wake up. Don't even realize, but it's something that's very basic for me that I need. And I know plenty of the men that a woman might just scratch his head or rub his back, and that space of putting him to sleep, it's hard to do it when my wife isn't home. When she's not here and she's going, she goes to travel and go see her nephew, and I'm here. I'm like, man, I got to go to bed. I end up staying up later. I don't fall asleep as fast. I mean, those are the soft spaces I think that men, require. It keeps us whole. It brings us back.
Okay.
I would say soft space for me feels like acceptance. It feels like acceptance. It feels like the space in the world where you can just be. And if you can't create that environment as a wife, you're missing out on a huge opportunity for connection, intimacy, and vulnerability. But allowing a man to just be is chef's kiss.
That's good. Ladies, y'all listen. Okay. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think they covered it all.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Let me finish by saying this. I just did a couples workshop yesterday, and one thing that was very powerful is when we got to talking about things that rub us wrong in our relationships, and I had to communicate it, right? So a tool that always helps, right, is when your partner is sharing with you something, a pain point, whatever that may be, repeat back to them what you heard them say. Step one, right? So there's a level of understanding. Step two, validate what they're saying. This goes both ways. Validate their experience. You may not have to agree with their experience. You may not have the same experience, but validation has everything to do with their experience. Number three, if there's something to apologize for, provide it. Right? Let go of your ego, let go of your pride. I would much rather apologize and my lady and I, we're able to go to bed and we can cuddle versus I'm staying on the couch and she's in the bed or we're on two sides of the bed, right? And then the last piece is solution, right? What's a proper solution that we can come up with to help us resolve this issue? So repeat back what you heard them say, validate their experience, apologize, and then let's provide a solution versus trying to give a rebuttal to every single thing your partner is saying. If you can do that, then it feels a lot easier to have a conversation, but also we're more open to having the tough conversations, even though we know that they're going to be tough and uncomfortable.
All right. Well, that is good, y'all. Thank you so much again for giving me your time tonight. I really, really appreciate it. Ladies, I hope you guys were listening. I know I was. I'm going to go back and take notes because, again, I don't speak to anybody from a space of already knowing it. Y'all heard I just jacked it up last night. So I'm still working on it. So, again, guys, thank you so much for joining me. And you guys have a good night. Bye.
Thank you. You too.
See y'all later.